How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Blackrock is buying Bitcoin. Like, literally, they are themselves buying Bitcoin, not just forcing their clients or pushing their clients to buy it or pushing the general public to buy it. They're buying it within their own portfolios. I want to talk about that, along with something that you have to be very careful about. Something you have to be very, very careful about. And I just got an email about this. Someone that lost a significant amount, and word of caution, we'll hit on it. Also, we'll talk about whether this was the top, the recent top of 74,000. Was that the top, or was that just, the first peak? Along with some other news too on the Telegram founder. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. There's also a link underneath the video to Margex where you can start trading cryptocurrency using leverage. We're wicking right down below that 200-day moving average if you want to place a trade. If you think we're going to just bounce off of it and close above the 200-day, maybe you want to set up a trade right now. There's a link to this underneath the video. They're also doing a pretty big airdrop too. They're giving away up to $500,000 of Caspa tokens. So you can get your hands on some. I'm already going to get at least $10, but as I scale up my trades, I'm going to get more and more. So if you want, you can sign up with the link underneath the video. And if you're already signed up for Margex, click the link underneath the video just so that way it can link, so that way you are entered to win the airdrop. There's also a cool airdrop over on, or a cool trading competition over on WEEX, where you can get a Louis Vuitton or a Rolex. So you can check out that link underneath the video. And last one, there is also a deposit and earn up to $3,000 event over on CoinW. So you have to deposit and trade to get in on some of these bonuses. So check out those links underneath the video. I think it's important to make sure that you have multiple places to trade in case there's high volume or there's some kind of issue with one exchange. You want multiple set up. Now, word of caution. This is where we'll start today, and then we'll move on to Blackrock here in a second. I had someone email me saying that they had been scammed out of a significant sum of money because they got stuck with this AWS exchange scam. And you can see there are a lot of videos around 2 minutes and 47 seconds. They clip a bit of a video that I actually made, and then they go into another screen and they don't show me. They do some deep fake AI audio that sounds a little bit off. It sounds a little bit too British or something like that. But you can see these videos if you just look it up. I would not suggest it, but be careful out there because there are going to be more and more scams in the future. It's not just me, right? I'm sure you could look up a lot of other big creators. And the fact is, they're going to be more and more as AI continues to improve. Make sure that you never buy something that you don't fully understand. Do weeks of research if you have to before you buy a crypto token. And so far, there's no AWS token that's scheduled that is connected to Amazon or anything like that. Even the page itself looks similar to mine, but you can see 63 videos, 116,000 subscribers. My financial friend Sam TV, that's off. So yeah, it's not the same thing. And if you see all these videos that are all the same and the same length, that's a major red flag. I make longer videos, just my intros longer than these videos. Okay, let's move on though. As you can see, BlackRock bought 4,000 shares of their spot ETF in their strategic global bond fund. Now, I've covered this before, that they've been buying shares of their Bitcoin ETF within other funds, but it's nice to see them continuing to add on. Now they have 32,000 shares in the strategic global bond fund. 32,000 shares of IBIT. Now, to be clear, that's not all that much, right? IBIT's like $40 a share. So overall, it's $1.2 million. It's nothing. Let's just look up the AUM on this fund right here. And keep in mind that they have several different portfolios that they have investments in IBIT already. Like they have, I think it's 3 or 4 funds now that have some allocation. So this has $828 million worth of AUM. Overall, I think they have about, between the funds that have some allocation of Bitcoin, they have around $50 billion worth of AUM. They still are only investing small amounts in their own Bitcoin ETF, but I think it's because it's a bit of a Trojan horse to get people invested in Bitcoin. You have to start slow as well. Like you don't want to just go put in an allocation of 4% into your Bitcoin ETFs, just in case something goes wrong or in case the price falls down. Like you want to introduce it, then slowly scale up. And that gives them a good reason to scale up too. If the performance does well, if Bitcoin goes up 50% and everything else goes up 3, 4, 5%, then it gives them an indication, or it gives them an out to be able to say, hey, yeah, we want to go 1%, 2%, 3% into IBIT in these portfolios. It's outperformed everything else. I think it makes sense to scale up, etc. Now, as you can see, Bitcoin dominance is moving up. I should hit on one other thing too. The fact is, even with 50 billion in AUM, this is still just a small portion of their overall funds. Right? They have 10 billion in AUM, or $10 trillion in AUM. 1% of that is 100 billion. So the portfolios that they've started to allocate towards Bitcoin in only represent 0.5% of their AUM. And they're doing small allocations, less than 1% within those portfolios. So today they could go out and buy billions of dollars of their own ETF if they wanted. Eventually they will be doing that. I think they'll buy billions and billions of dollars within their own ETFs, which is going to be significant. Be ready for that. That will cause a lot of FOMO in the market, in my opinion. If they do in a bull market, maybe they even wait to the bear market. And they say, well, no one wants to buy this. We're going to buy it in our portfolios, and we'll wait a year, maybe 2 years, and we're going to outperform everything. So be ready for that. Bitcoin dominance is moving up. As you can see, kind of just forming a new high, just slightly higher than the last high. But yeah, Bitcoin dominance at 57.7%. So that is beautiful if you're a Bitcoin investor. For everyone invested in altcoins, it's a little bit tough. But as you can see here, let's just pull up the top performing cryptos. We do know that Solana has done quite well over the last week. Over the last 30 days, it's down slightly versus Bitcoin. BNB down over the last week compared to Bitcoin, jumping up 7%. But over the last 30 days, actually down less than Bitcoin. As you can see, Ethereum just underperforming. Dogecoin underperforming. Most cryptos obviously are underperforming Bitcoin, but the fact is Bitcoin dominance still scaling up. Some people think that this is going to turn around when we start increasing liquidity. As soon as the Fed starts lowering rates and quantitative easing, a lot of people think this is going to fall down. I would not be surprised to see it peak out between 57.7 and 60%, somewhere in that range, and then for alts to start running. But let me know your thoughts on that underneath the video. Now I want to talk about Helium Mobile for just a second, but then we'll go on to MVRV scores and whether we're at the peak of the market. We'll go on to stablecoin information. We'll go on to information about the Telegram founder and some very interesting information in other parts of crypto as well. But let's start with Helium Mobile. I know I've talked about this several times, but Helium Mobile is something that you should be paying attention to. If you don't already know what this is, Helium Mobile is a phone plan that starts at just $20 a month for unlimited data. They actually partnered with the nation's largest 5G network. And the reason that they can create such a cheap phone plan is because they have these mobile hotspots. And this is a really interesting thing too. You can actually earn some rewards from this, where you can create this mobile indoor hotspot or mobile outdoor hotspot, and you can actually help power the network. So that's why it's so cheap, is because they have people that are providing these hotspots and they get rewarded for doing so in mobile token. Now, mobile token can be used to pay phone plans. Now, they're doing something this summer called the Golden Goose, which is a way of getting free tokens. Basically, the Golden Geese will get a push notification from the app and receive 5,000 mobile in their Helium mobile wallet. Any hotspots visited by the Golden Geese are given a Golden Egg NFT and 10,000 mobile token. So this is really interesting. If you want to check this out, I'll leave links to Helium underneath the video. You can get part of their phone plan, and using the link underneath the video, you get a free month. So even if you already have your own phone plan, you can try this in addition to it. And then if you like it, you can cancel your old phone plan and just go for the $20 a month. And if you don't like it, well, no harm done. You didn't waste any money. And you can also purchase one of these mobile hotspots so that you can get rewarded, and you can also power the network. As you can see, MVRV ratios are not hitting the typical point that they hit when we hit all-time highs. As you can see, MVRV has called every macro top and bottom in Bitcoin history. It is yet to signal top for this cycle. As you can see, the scores do come down over time. So I could see where someone says, this is close enough. But the fact is, we are still just at all-time highs, like at previous all-time highs. We should move well above where we are right now. As you can see, MVRV is down at about 2, and we usually move up to about 4 in all-time highs or at macro peaks. As you can see, we usually fall below 1 during pico bottoms. So we still have further to run, in my opinion. Stablecoins hitting an all-time high of 168 billion and moving up pretty nicely. We do know that the Fed's going to start lowering rates as well, which should cause some people to want to move into riskier assets. Now, we did get some more news about Pavel Durov. This is actually translated from French. It looks like he was accused of 12 different charges. A lot of this has to do with complicity. Now, I don't know the French legal system, but it sounds like a lot of this was maybe connected to him, but he wasn't actually doing it. I'm curious to see how this all shakes out, but I want to give you a little update on that. Also, if you didn't see my last video, Donald Trump has sold real estate for Bitcoin. Now, it's unclear whether he sold real estate to then go buy Bitcoin, or sold real estate and the person wanted to buy it with Bitcoin, and then maybe Donald Trump just sold it. But it's clear that Donald Trump has now actually held Bitcoin at some point, or still maybe today. This is coming from the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine and the Bitcoin Conference. Covered that in the last video if you want a little bit more information, but that is pretty interesting. Also, if you want a little bit of positivity, there are more millionaires in the US than there are Bitcoin. There are 23.7 millionaires in the US, and that's just an estimate. It's probably higher, honestly, with the amount of people that are making a good amount in their businesses, and then also with certain indices at all-time highs, certain stock market indices at all-time highs. It's probably even higher than this. The fact is, in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, when a lot of the baby boomers do pass on their assets, a lot of people will probably want to hold 1 Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin or a quarter of a Bitcoin. But the fact is, they can't all hold 1 Bitcoin. As inflation continues to, there are going to be more and more millionaires. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. This is just in the US. We are still early. If you're at 1 Bitcoin, someone one day is going to want to pay you a significant amount of money for that 1 Bitcoin. But they're going to have a hard time doing it. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video, though. Obviously, there are probably 70, 80 million millionaires in the world, maybe even more at this point, because inflation continues to run rampant. Now, the ETF buying continues as well. You have to remember that. There are a lot of millionaires that will want Bitcoin, but the fact is, a lot of ETFs are buying up Bitcoin. Investment advisors purchased $1.1 billion worth of Bitcoin ETFs in the second quarter. With a net purchase of $1.1 billion during the quarter, investment advisors have solidified their position as important owners of Bitcoin ETFs. Even though Bitcoin's price was down in Q2, the absolute value of Bitcoin ETFs owned by investment advisors increased to $4.3 billion at the end of Q2. The emergence of new names as holders this quarter indicates a widening acceptance and adoption of Bitcoin ETFs. So they still bought $1.1 billion even with the price going down. They weren't fudded out. They understand what's happening, which is the Fed is going to lower rates. One of the potential presidents is talking about Bitcoin all the time. If you need to outperform, Bitcoin is typically a very good way to do it. We also know that there are large entities buying Bitcoin every single day, and some buying every couple weeks. Every couple months, they're swallowing up so much Bitcoin between MicroStrategy, USDT Tether, similar scientific like companies. They're buying 100 Bitcoin, 50 Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoin at a time, 5 Bitcoin at a time. There are all different kinds of entities, Mr. 100, right, that are buying up Bitcoin. So the fact is that this is going to probably continue as time goes on, and there's an infinite amount of money, but there's only so much Bitcoin. There are only 21 million, and we're going to continue printing, and Bitcoin is most likely going to continue to outperform because of politicians misusing funds and overspending. And, just a little dose of reality. I saw some people talking about how Bitcoin ETFs hit $2 billion in AUM, and this is 2 billion Hong Kong dollars, just to be clear. Just a little reality here for you, because I saw some tweets not mentioning this. It's about $272 million worth of US dollars. Just want to tell you, but still, this is still good news, right? 272 million from 3 spot Bitcoin ETFs at a time of high rates. I think this is going to continue to increase over time, and this is after less than a year. So this is still positive in my opinion. FEMX will now require KYC for new accounts made after September 1, but there's no news on that for Margex. If you want to trade on Margex, you do not need a KYC. You don't need to give out your personal information. Same thing over on CoinW, Blowfin, and WEEX. They're all doing airdrops. Like I said, Caspa, a massive Caspa airdrop over on Margex. You can get up to $5,000. So definitely check that out underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll update you on some of the ETF fund flows information in the next video. So hit subscribe if you want to see that. I'll see y'all in the next video. Check out Helium Mobile underneath the video as well.